Hello my friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, what's up? My name's Elise, and if you're not new, welcome back. It's great to see you again. I thought I would start this vlog out right now, even though it's a little bit of an atypical time to start a vlog. I feel like mornings or afternoons are when I normally do that, but it's the end of a really good day. I've had a little bit of wine after work, and I've been working on my book blanket, so I thought that I would talk to you guys while I kind of wrapped up this row of my book blanket, because I am starting a new video today where Libby chooses what I read this week. I am sure that some of you have experienced the savior and the god that is Libby. Seriously, some of these books have been on hold for months, and so many of them are coming in soon, so I'm going to let Libby choose what I read next and what I read this week. What I'm going to do is I am going to accept the holds that come into Libby as long as I'm able to. So for example, today my hold for Bookshops and Bonedust came in by Travis Baldry. I have been listening to it while I drove to work and while I've been crocheting. I made quite a dent in it today. I'm currently 70% done with Bookshops and Bonedust. Naturally, my camera battery just died. My phone it is. So I thought it would be fun to just give Libby the reins this week and let Libby choose the next books that I read. So like I said, I started Bookshops and Bonedust today, like literally today, on my way to work this morning at like 7:30 a.m. and I'm already 70% through. At first I wasn't necessarily feeling it. I've been like very much in a romance vibe, so this like super chill fantasy vibe wasn't it at first. And then like 2 chapters later, I was like, I'm so glad to be back in this world. I absolutely loved Legends and Lattes last year. It was actually one of my favorite books of the year. Bookshops and Bonedust, I'm not hating on it. I'm having a great time, but it's not like, it just doesn't have the same draw as Legends and Lattes, but I'm still having a fantastic time. I love being back in this world. I love seeing Viv again and her backstory, and I love seeing like Galena and how her and Galena became friends and how she got black blood, her sword from the original story, and like all of these little things are wrapping up and I'm having a great time. Love Legends and Lattes because it just has this sparkle to it that this book doesn't, but again, still having an excellent time. I just don't know how to put in words that difference that this story has. It's just a little less pressing, a little less curiosity in what comes next, but I'm still enjoying the ride. Don't know if that makes any sense, like whatsoever, but I'm excited to finish that last 30% and add it to the book blanket. By the way, if you don't know, if you haven't seen my spring reset, I talked about my book blanket. You can also follow me on Instagram. I do like bookly updates. That's like not a word, but I don't know how else to explain it, but literally like every book I do an update, and I do like a little mini review on my Instagram, so feel free to check it out. But I am doing a row yarn color that matches the books I've read. So for example, this is the book I'm working on right now, Merry Little Meet Cute. It has a cute little pink. I don't know if you can see the previous yellow. This yellow right here is for Now It's Not the Time to Panic. And then we also have my Ice Planet Barbarian blue sparkle right there. It's sparkly. I am sure that everyone on Instagram is like so sick of me talking about my book blanket, but you guys, do you ever have that thing that just, you know, it's probably a little bit annoying to everyone else, but it's just bringing you so much joy. And you know that if people care about you, they'll tolerate it. That's just how it is with my book blanket. I am just like having the best time. It's just bringing me a lot of joy. And so I hope that you guys will enjoy it too. And if not, then I hope you'll tolerate it. Blanket is updated with all of the books I've read so far this year. I love it so much. Obsessed. I'm on my lunch break and I just finished eating and I have some time to read, so I thought that we could finish Bookshops and Bonedust together. I'm currently on page 308, which is 92% according to Libby. I love that feature, by the way, when it tells you the percentage of the audiobook that you're finished with. You know, like the chapters and all of that too, because that's how I find my place physically. By the way, I love this cover. I love when covers tell a story. Anyway, things are getting really heated. A lot is happening, kind of something that I had guessed was going to happen and just not how it was going to happen. So I am happy about that theory that I had. Anyway, I just like need to finish it because things are getting crazy. So let's read the last like 28 pages together. Good morning, everyone. I forgot to check in again with you guys yesterday after I finished Bookshops and Bonedust. This was so sweet. I'm so glad that I came back to this world. I know this cozy fantasy thing is kind of a hit or miss for some people, but it's definitely a hit for me. I had the best time reading it and I'm so glad that I finally got to finish it. I was not expecting to pick this one up, but I saw this on my shelf this morning and I was just like, I want to finish this. And I think this might even be my last Wings of Fire book. I'm enjoying it so far, but I think my enjoyment of this series is slowly siphoning. Even though there are 5 more books after this series and another spin-off series, I think I'm just gonna end it on this one as long as it wraps up, because I think that it is going to wrap up. It typically wraps up every 5 books, maybe, hopefully. Hopefully, oh my gosh. If it does wrap up, I want this to be the last one. Yeah, like I said, my enjoyment of the series is not what it used to be. The first 5 books I adore, and I will recommend those first 5 books to anyone who will listen. And like, you know, middle grade fantasy books. So I checked Libby and it is available. I was already 28% of the way through, or like 23%, something like that. So I picked it up again while I was in the shower. Let me know in the comments, do you listen to audiobooks in the shower? I just like put it up on a shelf where my shampoo and stuff is, and I just listen while I shower. So let me know if that's something you do too, or if I'm a weirdo. Also, another audiobook came in recently, and I still think I'll have enough time to listen to both of these, and that is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I have this book. I think this might be on my reader bus this year. I just want to kind of finally read it. It's been on my shelves for a little while, and I don't think I'll actually pick this book up unless I'm listening to the audio as well. So that came in, we're gonna listen. I'll see you guys with an update. I'm on my way to Austin. If you're new to my channel, my boyfriend lives in Austin. We're long distance. We've been long distance for almost 2 years now. And this weekend will have been 3 weeks since we've seen each other, just because school and work and a bunch of other things. So I'm very excited, but I'm listening to Darkness of Dragons, the 10th book in the Wings of Fire. And I know earlier I was like, I think this is gonna be my last Wings of Fire book, but y'all, this book is popping. It is so good. I'm so engaged. I really like Quibbly. I really like kind of what's going on in this story. It's also wrapping up a lot of those loose threads from the previous 4 books. I'm really enjoying it. I just wanted to do a little bit of an update for you guys before I finished it, because I've been really bad about updating like halfway. I wanted to try and make a halfway update, which I am just a few minutes off of exactly halfway, so talk to you later. It's the next day and I finished this book. I read about 100+ pages this morning to finish it. I think I have to retract my earlier statement. This one was so good. It was action-packed. I loved our main character. It just wrapped so many things up. And I think I have to continue the series. I absolutely love the epilogue because this story is told from Kibley's perspective, this dragon, but the epilogue was told from his winglets perspective between the 4 other characters who were also kind of in this spin-off series. And so we got to see each of their perspective at the end of this story and like see where they are now. And I just really enjoyed that. Even though 2 of the characters were my favorite of this little spin-off, I still really enjoyed the other 3, and I just liked how it ended. And it looks like the next spin-off is gonna be really interesting. I was incorrect earlier. This cannot be the last book that I read in the series. So let's look and see what Libby has for me next. I actually had some holds come in this morning. I don't really feel like listening to that one though. So I have 2 books in right now. I have All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. So I do have that one, it's due in 10 days. And then my Ready Player 2 came in. I want to read Ready Player 2 because in April I'm going to the Texas Library Association conference and I'm doing an event with some authors, and Ernest Cline is going to be one of those authors. So I wanted to read the rest of his books, specifically Ready Player 2. That will also finish a series off of my series list, so that would be good. I should probably do that one, shouldn't I? It's 14 hours. I don't know if I feel science fiction-y after reading this chunky fantasy book. Maybe All Your Perfects? I think All Your Perfects. I don't know how I feel about that, but you know what? Libby's choosing what I read next, so we're gonna go a short and we're gonna take a break from like science fiction and fantasy for a book. So All Your Perfects it is.
Simon & Schuster Audio presents All Your Perfects, a novel by Colleen Hoover. Read by Madeline Mabey.
It's been a few days since I talked to you guys. I am back in my she shed. I didn't actually read at all yesterday, but I did end up reading a little bit the day previously and today on my way home of All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect from the synopsis from the back of the book. It doesn't really say a lot. It just says their marriage or their love is threatened by their imperfect marriage. Memories, mistakes, and dreams that built up over the years. So it just sounds really dramatic. And so in my head, in my brain, I had just kind of assumed it was going to be this like a really dramatic marriage falling apart for unknown just random dramatic reasons, and that is not the case. This actually is a story about a couple who came together kind of in strange circumstances and are kind of falling apart now due to their struggle with infertility and just trying to work through that grief, that communication barrier, and other things like that. I don't want to go too into detail, but I do think it's important to note that this does involve infertility because that is such a huge trigger for some people. I guess maybe it's kind of a spoiler, but I think it's really important. And besides, you don't know all of the in-between. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry if I ruined the book for you, but I think that more people will be glad to have had that trigger warning than what little it spoils of the story. Before I realized that, before that was revealed a few chapters in, I was a little bored at first, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little like, this is kind of slow, it's a little dramatic, but that was also before when I thought it was just like random drama from a married couple not communicating. And then, you know, we're slowly getting that information about their past, what has brought them to where they are now due to their struggles. Things are just kind of clicking into place and the story's really building. We're starting to get to know our characters a lot more and understand their motivations, and that is making me enjoy the story more. It is sad, it is melancholic, it is a story about struggle and a couple who really loves each other, but what is happening in their life is just making it really hard to continue that love or hold on to that love because there's just so much more going on with them personally. If I had known that this is what this story was about, I probably wouldn't have reached for it, but I'm not mad that I'm listening to it right now. Another Libby hold came in, and this is one I've been waiting for months, literally January, February, and half of March. I'm so thrilled. And that is Heartstopper Volume 5. I have it downloaded on my iPad, so I'm gonna read that probably tonight. I'm so excited. Hello, everyone. Excuse me. So, update. I read Heartstopper last night. It was so cute. This whole series has been a 5-star series for me. I am so excited for volume 6, but it's also very bittersweet because it's the last one. But I'm also very grateful because originally it was only going to be 5 volumes, but now it's 6. So very bittersweet about it. This one was a little more lighthearted than the previous one. The previous one focused a lot on mental health and well-being, which was very refreshing to see. Alice Oseman just, she has the touch when it comes to discussing mental health and just making it a normal part of conversation and showing good ways to respond. And you know, not every character responds well, but then they come back and have a conversation about it. And I just love, love, love how she handles that. And the art is so cute. And it was also a little more focused on, let's say, progressing their relationship. I just love the series, and I'm so glad that I got to read volume 5. Another update, I have read a little bit more of All Your Perfects. I am now at 52%. This book is not bad. The writing is good. I think that this story is very relatable for a lot of people. However, this was just not really the vibe I was going for because it is very serious. Sorry, I'm boiling some water for lunch. So it has this serious undertone to it. And I think it's a story that needs to be told for some people, but it's just not the vibe that I was going for. Anyway, I'm gonna finish cooking my meal. I'll catch up with you guys later, hopefully when I finish this book. And then we'll start a new Libby read. Yeah. Yeah. Can you say hi to the camera? She does not like cameras. Are you camera shy? Thank you. This is Zori. She's our family dog. She's like 11 and a half. Aren't you, girly? Okay. Gonna put you down now. Hello, my friends. I just realized that I never did an update for All My Perfects, so let's do that now. I finished All My Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I actually ended up mostly listening to this one. Let's see, what are my thoughts? Y'all were with me when I first started this book and was a little bored at the beginning. Then things started picking up and I was like, okay, I'm feeling this book a little bit. And then some of my least favorite things occurred, which I should have known because that's also how the book starts. And we know that many well-written books come full circle, and this came full circle. And I was just like, no! But I will say, there's groveling in this book, and I think he does a good job. However, if you watched my most recent reading vlog where I read books that I've been avoiding, this book reminds me a lot of Happy Place. In fact, if you liked Happy Place, I think you would like this book. And if you like this book, I think you would like Happy Place. I don't want to go too into detail about Happy Place specifically because there are some differences between the two. And if you want to know my thoughts, I recommend watching that video. So yeah, not my favorite. I can, however, check it off my physical TBR and move on to another book from my physical TBR. The next audiobook that came in from Libby is Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. I am seeing Ernest Cline in April for the Texas Library Association conference, so I ended up choosing this over some other books that came in. I am currently on page 52. It has a very similar tone and narration style as Ready Player 1. So if you enjoyed that, you'll definitely enjoy Ready Player 2. This is after the fact, after the events of the first book. A new creation has been discovered, and put out into the world. And once again, it's changing the entire foundation of society. Just a huge technological feat and invention that is affecting just literally everything about the world. They decide to incorporate it into their company at the very beginning of the book. And so we're starting to see the consequences of that on the earth and on our main character's personal life as well. So I think we're still kind of laying the foundation. I don't know if you can see that part. We're still kind of laying the foundation for the story. We haven't really gotten into anything yet. There also is a new quest that was recently unleashed. Again, not really in the mood, but my Libby hold is going to expire soon. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish another chapter or two today and just finish like 1 or 2 chapters a day until my Libby hold is out, and then I'll just physically continue it with my library book. So that's the plan. It might take a little longer than I wanted, but it's also a lot of like facts. Okay, I'm gonna do some reading while I wait for pizza that I ordered. Y'all, I have been craving pizza so badly. Here's your sign to go get a pizza. Anyway, so I'm gonna read some while I wait, and then I will talk to you guys when I get a little farther into this book. Hey friends, I just got off work and I am cooking some lunch, so you can hear the air fryer right now, and I'm also sauteing some veg and noodles. Now that I've explained the background sound thing going on, let me talk to you about Ready Player 2. I've been jumping back and forth between the audio and the physical book, and I will say I personally have a little bit better of an experience reading it physically. The narrator is actually phenomenal. He does an excellent job of bringing the main character Wade or Parzival or Z to life. He really brings out his personality. However, I think there's a little bit of over description in this book, and it's really catered towards those people who know exactly what that, like, who are part of that like fandom, those like facts and things that would really excite them, but to me I don't really know them as well. So when I'm reading physically, I can just skip them and, you know, skim, whereas when I'm listening I can't really do that. And sadly for me, there are a lot of moments like that, but that's okay. I'm still having a really good time. I will say the first like 20 to 25% of the story was a lot. It was catching us up on a lot of things. There wasn't very much action, but once the action actually started and this like quest started, it has really picked up the pace. And also there is a bit of a twist that I did not see coming, and that has kind of like amped up the stakes and everything like that. Now that the crew is back together and they're working on this quest together, it's really like, I wanted to stay up last night and finish it, but I made myself go to bed. Hopefully I will be finishing this book very soon. I finished reading Ready Player 2, so let's do a wrap up of this video and give you some ratings and thoughts. The first book I read in this video is Bookshops and Bonedust by Travis Baldree. I'm so glad that I got to revisit this world and the story and Viv and the other characters and get to see her backstory and how she became who she became in the original book, Legends and Lattes. Travis Baldree's great with narration, so listening to this in tandem reading it was such a joy. I would give this, I think, a 4-star or maybe a 4.25 star. The next book I completed in this video is Darkness of Dragons, which is the 10th book in the Wings of Fire series by Tweety Sutherland. Y'all know, if you watch this whole video, I went in with some doubts. I did not like book number 9 in the series, and I was honestly ready to give up on this series and just call this the last one, but I ended up loving this book. It was a 5-star read for me. One of my favorite books from the series. I love Quibbly. He's such an interesting character, an interesting dragon, because he is a little bit morally gray and he thinks about both sides of the coins, the goods and the bads, and that's just how his brain works. And so he's constantly doing this throughout the whole story, and it just makes him very relatable, and he makes other characters very relatable too. And there was a lot of action and A lot of the last 5 books were wrapped up in this book. I just had a really good time, and I'm really glad that I gave this a chance. So this is a 5-star for me. Then I read Heartstopper Volume 5 by Alice Oseman. This is the most current release of the Heartstopper series, so I am up to date with that one. I had such a good time. It was so sweet, and I know that y'all didn't really get many reactions from me as I was reading it because it is such a quick read. It was really nice because the last book was a little heavier, and I'm really grateful for that volume. I thought it was really great and a great addition, and Alice Oseman does an excellent job of talking about those tougher topics. But it was nice to have a little bit of a lighter one, a lighter themed volume, and getting to see Charlie and Nick get to know each other more and see more of their friends. And this one talked a lot about college and long distance relationships, and just kind of tossed that around along with family dynamics whenever you're starting to get more serious with a partner. So that was really relatable and really sweet, and I had a good time. This wasn't quite a 5-star for me, but it was still really up there, so I would give this like a 4.5 or a 4.75 star. Then I read All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. This is technically part of the Hopeless series, but I don't really know why. So if you know, please let me know so I can have the insight on it. Not my favorite. I'm glad I finally read it and can take it off my physical TBR. This book really reminded me of this book. And I know that's going to be a controversial topic because people who hate Coho love to hate Coho. There were a lot of parallels to the storyline and the miscommunication and the struggles that the couples were going through in both of those books. Let's just say some of the tropes and situations involved in this book were not really to my taste. I thought the writing was good. You know, the writing of both stories were very different, and that sets them apart, as well as the core issue. But yeah, there were a lot of parallels that just weren't my jam, but that's okay. I am going to give this a 3-star. Then I read Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. This is the second book in the Ready Player 1 series. I finished this duology. Woo, yeah! Actually, this was like basically a series. Wow, I'm so proud of myself. This was an interesting time because I really enjoyed the narrator. He was excellent. He really brought the character's voice to life and his personality. But there's a lot of nerdy stuff in here that I do not particularly care about. That doesn't mean I don't care about this book, but it's very fandom-esque. It's for the fans, you know, and there are just some of these things that I've heard about, but I wasn't like a huge fan or anything, so I preferred to skim those parts because I didn't need the nitty-gritty details, which Ernest Cline is very detail heavy and descriptive heavy in his novels so far. So I actually ended up having a better time reading this physically because I could skip those parts. However, if you love those little nerdy details, I highly recommend the audiobook. So there was that aspect of things, and then also our main character Wade, or Parzival, or Z, he goes by a lot of names. He really was quite unlikable at the beginning of this book. I get where he's coming from on some of the things, but there was a point where it was just like, come on, dude. Or like, why did we need to know that? But once you get past the first 20% or first 25% and the action actually starts to happen within the game and the challenge, it gets really good. And that was the part that I had a really great time with. I enjoyed all of the quests and everything, and there is a huge sense of tension and like a countdown for this book that just like really amped up the tension and the like excitement of the book. I thought the ending was a little too nicely wrapped up, but that's okay. And there were some things that I wish had happened. Like there's a situation with a mentor and an old friend that didn't really get any closure, and that kind of made me sad. Our two main love interests, which like it's really not a romance at all, it's just a very subplot of the story. Anyway, they had a bit of a tiff and a bit of a struggle. I don't want to say too much, but that also just seemed to like wrap up perfectly. There was no actual discussion of their conflict. It just was, and then it wasn't. So that bothered me a little bit, but overall I still had a really good time. after that first 25%, I just zoomed through. I would give this probably a 3.5 or a 3.75 rating. Then I started Between Shades of Grey, but I'm actually gonna go ahead and end the vlog here. Okay, my friends, we had a very productive reading vlog. Finished 5 books and started another one. Libby did a good job. A lot of variety in here too. Anyway, thank you so much for joining along. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. This is really interesting and kind of fun to see like what I was gonna read next and like what was just gonna pop up next to my Libby holds, because I am beholden to the Libby gods. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you had a good time. If you did, consider giving this video a thumbs up, and if you made it this far and you aren't already subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button. I hope you're doing well whenever and wherever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone!